welcome to The Real. Happy Friday. Are you ladies ready to get into some girl chat?
Yes,
Gotcha.
of course. Let's do it.
Okay, well, we are 32 days officially from the election, and everyone is getting super political. Conversations are obviously happening with our friends and our families. So according to a survey, though, get this, done on dating.com, more people are bringing up politics on dating apps. Me and Jeannie always talk about this. And how that works out. The platform actually saw a 43% increase in users discussing politics. Over half said that they would actually consider ghosting someone if they brought politics up, and 84% said that they would never consider dating someone with opposing political views.
Yeah,
so ladies,
I wouldn't.
would you be able to date or even be friends with someone who has opposing political views than you?
Friends and
I would
dating
say
are two different things.
two different things. Yeah, I don't think I
Right?
would want to date someone with opposing views right now. Like right now, when it's so heated, when it's so divided. I think right now that would be really hard. I'm a Democrat. If I was dating somebody who was a Republican, and it's nothing about being Republican, but I think we're so divided this year more than ever.
Yeah.
This election year. That makes it really difficult, and relationships are hard enough. But I did have a girlfriend who I hadn't seen for a while. She came to the house and hung out a little bit, and as she was talking, I realized she was a Republican, which is nothing wrong with that. But then she started saying, like, some of the rhetoric that Trump says, and then as she kept on doing that, I was like, oh my gosh. She even called Senator Warren Pocahontas, and I was like, oh my God. Like inside I was boiling. And I kept it cool, but I thought that was really interesting because I didn't think she'd be that type of person. And even when we were talking, and I said to her, when I'm driving, I'm nervous, if I get pulled over by the cops. And she said, somebody like you? And I was like, girl, it doesn't matter who it is. My skin is what it is. It's about the skin color. It's not who you are. The cops don't know everything I've done. They don't know who I am. Do you know what I mean? And so I thought we had a really interesting conversation.
Anybody who has the opportunity to date now during this time, or has the opportunity to date maybe later in years, 30 or 40, should be very keen to having political discussions. When I was dating at 27 and got married, there was no way I was talking about if you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, if you stand for Black Lives Matter, if you understand what systemic racism is, are you into immigration laws? These are things that I did not factor in because I would have described myself as a non-political person. Today, I really am careful about people who say that because you have to be political if you care. As an American, just caring makes you care about politics. Doesn't mean that you have a flag in the front of your yard, but it means that you need to care. And that's a place I have to be in when I date now. So my answer is, if you're not talking about it, you better at least figure out what issues that are important to you that you should be talking about with your spouse or your dating partner. Definitely before marriage, because that was a rocky time for me.
Do you think somebody should put it on their dating site, though? Do you think that's a little too much, or no?
No, I don't think so. I think look, if it's ever too much for somebody, that means that they're too much not for you, right? So be you.
Okay.
Be you completely. I'd rather
most
know
people's
upfront than
social
to not know
media, Instagram or
Yeah.
Facebook definitely shows what they believe at this point in time. And even if you're not posting about it, that also says what you believe and what you feel and what you stand for. So
That's
that
true.
for
But
me
ask the
would
questions.
definitely be
It's
an
definitely-
issue. Yeah, me and Jeannie
they gotta
always used
ask
to
the
talk about what
questions,
are all
though.
the things that you should discuss prior to getting married. And some of those conversations are really tough things. They go beyond politics. They go to, God forbid,
Like what?
I mean, just really difficult questions, whether it's finances or furthermore, what you believe. Obviously there's so much conversation of Roe v. Wade and those sorts of things. You need to know, God forbid, if you were in a certain situation, what you would do. And those conversations, in my opinion, need to be had.
For me,
Here's
politics
one just
comes
basic
and
one.
goes.
Here's one basic as a female. As a female, I think you should absolutely understand what being a feminist means and whether or not let's say if whoever you're dating, whether you're gay or straight, is also a feminist and stand for women. That's a bare minimum, I think. You don't even have to be political, and you should understand if that person agrees that women deserve equal rights, equal pay, like that, you know what I mean? Things like that.
Well, I think that it's a difference. I agree with you ladies between dating and having friends. I like my friends to have different points of view, and I have to, because then I can argue with them. And a lot of times, because it really helps me to see different sides. And I think the point is that we need to start listening to each other. So that way we can have a better understanding and we can live better in this country. But when it comes to actually having someone that you're going to spend the rest of your life with and you're sharing the same bed, you're going to share the same children, that's a different story. And I think that it's important to make sure that you know what the political views are. And I think that dating apps, because you already don't know the person, if they do say, hey, I don't want to, date a Democrat or I don't want to date a Republican, I think that's fair. And then you're not wasting your time. So I say put it on the dating app. Don't waste your time.
Put it all out there. Put it all out.
Yes. When it comes to your personal beliefs too, I encourage people to be passionate enough that it drives you to go do something. If you're passionate about gender discrimination and you want to go out there and speak about it, or encourage people to look into their paperwork and understand what contracts they're signing, I mean, if you're living with somebody who doesn't believe the same as you, it almost stifles your energy and you don't become as passionate and proactive as you could have been. So under that household, sharing that same interest with somebody allows you to go out there and make change.
True.
Purpose
And speaking
partners.
of being passionate, I want to ask you guys this. Obviously, there's so much going on in the world right now. Everybody is speaking out, including children. So in the fight to stand up for justice, many parents have been taking their children to protests. And it's caused a huge debate because some people say children are the future and you want to make sure that you absolutely get them involved and get them to learn how to use their voices. But a lot of people are also saying that protests are too dangerous, considering, the most recent protests that we've had. So that being said, do you guys feel it's safe or advisable to bring children to protests?
Marcel, I'm curious what you think as a mom.
I've taken my boys. I took my boys to the Women's March. I took them to a Black Lives Matter march protest. I just feel like it's important for them to know and be a part of history. You know what I mean? I think it's important for them to know that they need to stand for something. I mean, I think it depends on how young your kids are. I wouldn't take like maybe a 2-year-old, but my kids were old enough. I think when we went to the Women's March, they were around 8, and then now they're 12, and we went to a BLM protest a few months ago. But what was interesting is that when we got to the Black Lives Matter protest, everything was great. We were, walking around, protesting, shouting Black Lives Matter, shouting, George Floyd's name. And some of the cops were, starting to come, and some of them blocked the roads for us with their cars so that it could all be peaceful and we could move. But once the crowd got bigger, more cops started coming. I could see that Jax, my son, was getting a little nervous. So he said, Mom, I think we should go. And I honored that. And I said, okay, we'll go. And we left. But the really cool thing that I saw, a lot of people were driving by and honking their horns and putting their fist out. And before we left, there was a tiny little fist in the back of the car outside the window. This little kid must have been in a car seat. And it just, even saying it, it just touched me because that little kid felt like he was a part of something, and that was really cool. I don't know if it was a girl or a boy, but I just thought that was really cool.
I love that.
During the George Floyd protest, there was a 7-year-old girl. Her name is Winter Amore. She was actually, it went viral. She was showing, she was protesting and marching, no justice, no peace. She's 7 years old. She's from New York. We spoke to her mom. Her mom says that she has sickle cell, so she's always been a fighter, and it's no surprise that she didn't want to be part of the protest. So we just want to give a shout out to Winter Amore. You were just fabulous, my dear.
So amazing. Again, I just think it's about what you instill in your children.
Yeah, and it's important that they know what's going on too,